Okay, that's Chief Inspector Davy Beck away about his business of keeping the community as safe as he and his officers can keep it. You're with Destination Newry with our morning programme, Good Morning Newry and more, and Good Morning the World out there, because you're receiving us in Manhattan and Montreal, you're receiving us in Mayo Bridge and Mongolia. There we are. With me now on the sofa, I've got Brian McKibben from Lee Opticians in Warren Point, Crossmaglen, and you have a special interest, Brian, in old folk and the decrease in sight excellence as folk do grow older. What's the process that makes that happen? Why should I have less good sight now than I had when I was running around 30 years ago?
Well,
is it wear and tear?
Well, certainly there is a lot of visual issues as you get older, which would be classed under the wear and tear category. As we get older, there are a number of things which change. Simple things like the reduction of tear production, which can leave us with sort of very dry eyes. Yes. The surface of our eye, our cornea, can lose its sensitivity. Also, as you know, once you reach about the age of 40, people often say their arms are no longer long enough and would require the aid of reading glasses. We also find that as we get older, our eyes sink into our sockets, which then in turn
this is pre-skeletal.
This is exactly pre-skeletal.
Bad thought. Your eyes sink into the socket. What's the next step down the road? They disappear. Or if you're lying in the bush or lying in the desert, the crows and the vultures will come and take the eyes out and let you return to your skeleton.
This is before that
this
stage.
This doesn't happen.
No.
We're ahead of all of that.
This is before that stage.
Yeah.
Of course, then you're more at risk from age-related conditions such as cataracts and age-related macular degeneration. So there are a lot of things that are changing. Your eyes are changing, as with other parts of your body as we get older.
So an old person at home with no spectacles or incorrect spectacles is very liable to have an accident.
Absolutely. The RNIB have highlighted that the number
RNIB, the Royal Institute for
the Blind.
Yes.
Have highlighted that the number one cause of blindness, or meeting the criteria to classify as blind in Northern Ireland, is actually on correction of blurred vision, or really simply not wearing the correct glasses or not wearing glasses at all. Just in the run-up, there is an association obviously between elderly and falls. There was a Falls Awareness Week which took place between the 21st and 24th of June. And prior to that, the College of Optometrists had released new research which had highlighted the lack of awareness between the link of poor sight and falls in the elderly.
What happens if the old person has glasses for reading? Yes. They're not necessarily going to be the right spectacles for watching the cracks in the floorboard or the breaks in the footpath. So how do you handle that? Is it bifocals or what?
Well, there's a couple of different options. Certainly, whenever you would have an eye examination with your optometrist, measurements would be taken, tests would be performed to determine sort of what would be the correction for that individual. Certainly some people are very fortunate, in which case their distance vision would be clear, and therefore they may not need a correction for distance. If they require just reading only glasses, as you know, those reading glasses are only functional or only work at a certain close range.
That's right.
If you have your reading glasses on and we're say to look across a room at maybe a television or out the window, your vision would be blurred or would be very distorted. If you have a patient that requires help with both their distance vision and with their reading vision, you could go for two separate pairs of glasses, one specifically for the distance correction and one for reading. You would have the option of something like a bifocal. Now, a bifocal would correct both distance and reading vision, and this is a lens which would have either a straight line or a semicircle towards the bottom of the lens.
See, I'm confused about that, because I kind of think that's a Mickey Mouse thing, that I would never be able, if I'd be looking in the wrong part at the wrong time, and that would confuse me. I'm in trouble there. But do people get used to it and it works for them?
Absolutely. Certainly whenever it would be determined that would be the best correction for you, essential measurements would be taken to determine how that lens would be positioned.
Wow.
So you would be guided as to your frame choice, as to which frames would be suitable to accommodate that lens, and then measurements would be taken to make sure that the lens is correctly centered. If you imagine, if you're maybe looking straight ahead, if you're driving, for example, usually your eyes would be in what's classed as the primary position of gaze, so you're looking straight ahead. Now, if you imagine you go to lift a newspaper or a book to read, normally your eyes would turn down and turn in, and then that's where the reading section of the lens would be
Do you know what I hate with a vengeance? I hate you know, the things you stick in your eyes, what are they called? The lenses that go into your eyes.
Oh, contact lenses.
Contact lenses. I think there is an innate imperfection in those, because no matter how well you lubricate anything, if you have a soft surface on a hard surface, over a period of time, that's not going to do a lot of good for you.
Well, with contact lenses, you know, certainly, as with most things are, you know, there's progressions being made. The majority of contact lenses you would fit at the moment would actually be soft contact lenses. So in the past you would have had gas permeable contact lenses, which would have been smaller, rigid sort of plastic structure, whereas now the majority of lenses would be classed as soft, or even newer lenses are classed as super soft.
Wow.
So that would actually be a softer, flexible, thinner material. It would be larger in size. So what would happen is, obviously, that would sit on the front surface of the cornea of the eye. Now, just about you know, a couple of years ago, they've actually changed the materials those are being made with to increase oxygen transmission, to allow more oxygen into the eye. But they found with those materials there was a little bit too much interaction between the eyelids when blinking and the lens.
I'm not that far wrong then, am I?
Well, absolutely, not too far wrong. But what they've actually done now is they now have a core of high oxygen transmission material, and then this is coated with a high moisture, very smooth surface, and that reduces interaction between the eyelids and the lens itself. All
sounds good to me, but the bottom line is, if you have concerns about your eyes, see your optometrist, isn't that it?
Absolutely.
And you're to be found in Warrenpoint and Crossmaglen.
Absolutely.
You're going to Crossmaglen today?
I am indeed.
What a wonderful day to go into the scenic territory of wonderful South Armagh. Go well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sean, let's have some music there, my brother. Coming shortly.